and we are live, and welcome to another incredible Wisdom Circle. Of course, my name is Sophia from Sacred You, and we have the honor of presenting these Wisdom Circles, which I'm really excited about. And today we have the beautiful Rollie Allaire, or Gigato Migwanque, with us again to talk about ancient wisdom rising, something that is close to me. I'd love to know more, so I'm going to sit back in the background, Rollie, hand it over to you to hear all about how we can use moon medicine and ancient wisdom to help us in our lives today. And I shall be back at the end. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. And so we have a beautiful, beautiful panel of women this morning or this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you are listening and joining us through somewhere in the world. So I am evening. It is 8 p.m. Eastern time in Northeastern Ontario, Canada, where typically it is freezing cold. And right now it is super hot, which I am enjoying every last second of that wonderful heat. But we have women from around the world, and so they are in a different season than we are in. And so we're going to start off with introducing everyone. So Gigato Migunpwe is my spirit name, which means talking feather woman. And I work with women with anxiety that using moon medicine and the ancient wisdom and being able to bring all these practices together to be able to help women work through their anxiety. And so Denise, you are first on my radar. So did you want to start off with introducing yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Denise, I'm in Australia. It's very cold here right now, so we've gone from summer out to winter. And yeah, I love helping people to self-heal and give them all the tools that their own intuition already knows, but they've buried or they're not aware of it. So it's about bringing people's awareness back to themselves and going from there and self-healing emotionally, mentally, and physically. So that's what I love to do. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Trisha, this is your very first panel with us. So did you want to introduce yourself, share where you're from, and what is it that you do?
Yeah. So thanks for having me. I am from Kansas City, Missouri, and my name is actually pronounced Trisha Keatley. So for anybody that was like, "Oh, how do you pronounce that last name?" So my superpower is definitely technology. As much as I love ancient wisdom and neuroscience and spirituality, I love combining all of those and figuring out ways to do that better. I am currently getting my doctorate in theocentric psychology, which is like perfect, exactly where I want to be as I'm studying it. I'm like, yep, I know exactly why I'm doing this. And I have a couple of different businesses, and one of them is an AI software company. And so, but I really like to really bring that human to human connection. So we're trying to get to the forefront of that and make sure that people are still depending on humans and not just AI. That's me.
Beautiful. Thanks, Trisha. And Sarah?
Hello, everyone. Sarah Raccasano here. I am an author, motivational speaker, and the founder of Embolden Adventures, which is an encouragement platform that inspires personal, professional, and spiritual development and transformation. I'm a world traveler. I've seen the world, and I've gone through some pretty interesting spiritual discoveries and transformation. So I'm very excited to have a discussion today.
Beautiful. Thanks, Anik. And Anik, what about you?
Unmuting the button. I'm Annick
Um,
Patry. Can you hear?
you're very, very quiet, Anik.
Oh, really? Oh, dear. Hello, hello. 1, 2, 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're still really quiet, but we can hear you.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll speak loud then. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so I'm Annick Patry. I am a holistic mentor, an author, a TEDx speaker, and a retreat facilitator. I'm the founder, the creator of the Voice Alchemist Academy, and I am here in the world to raise consciousness and raise vibration. I work specifically with women in business, basically heart-centered entrepreneurs, spiritual leaders, and I'm very passionate about owning our creative power and stop silencing our voices and really allowing our voices to be loud and clear in the world with our messages, our medicine, our magic. And I'm excited for today's conversation. Thank you for having me.
Beautiful. Thanks, Nick. And Laura?
Hi, I'm Laura. Last name's Coconato. I'm a storyteller. I'm a tarot reader, energy healer. I spent 14 years in the film industry and have been on a journey over the past few years, stepping into my more mystic roots. So I've learned a lot about how to communicate and tell stories with people. And so I have a passion for especially bringing the more mystical elements of life to people in a grounded way. And so that's what I'm excited about and am excited to learn more from all of you.
Beautiful. Thanks, Laura. And Laura also, this is her first time coming to one of the panels as well. So welcome, Laura, for joining us in this wonderful conversation. Joanne?
Good morning from down under, all the way from Australia. Hi, I'm an emotion and energetic empowerment coach. I created programs to empower women, and finding themselves. Basically, I'm a co-author of a book series, A Journey to Riches, and the title I was writing about was The Gift in Challenges. And also a speaker, trained in many modalities, but primarily use NLP, hypnosis, to help women come home to themselves. And so my passion is helping business owners, business women, entrepreneurs who struggle with getting themselves out there to be seen and create exactly what they're trying to create in the world. Consistent, sustainable income. So through deep connection and listening, I guide my clients to break through their unconscious programming and patterns, limiting beliefs, so that they can move forward with ease and attract the success that they desire. So I'm really passionate about seeing women thrive in the world and contributing and achieving the amazing things that they're born here to achieve.
Beautiful. So thank you very much, ladies. And so one of the things that I wanted to do, so we are moving into a full moon. So we call it the strawberry full moon. Some people call it different things. And so for us, the reason why we call it the strawberry full moon is because the strawberries are the first berries to start to bloom. And although for those of us that are way up north, we had a very late spring. And so the strawberries have not yet started to bloom, but they should be very soon. I seen them flowering the other day. So we should start having strawberries, some beautiful strawberries very soon. And so that is one of the things that that we have going in. And so Trisha, who is our technology person that she was referring to, is that we've also moved into, we're also moving into Mercury retrograde. And so we've got that that technological hiccups and one of the things that I like about Mercury retrograde and the technology is that it actually does help to flush out the hiccups. So when something's not working, when we have a sales page that's not quite doing what it is that it needs to do, that kind of thing, this is a good time for us to be able to try and that we actually get to troubleshoot that and figure out what is it that's happening. So that is definitely one of those positive things that come in with Mercury retrograde. And but what I wanted to do today is to start off the conversation is that I wanted to pull a card. And so and this isn't something that I typically do, mainly because my cards have been packed away and I am finally back in the house, so I actually have access to my cards again. But I just really felt called to pulling a card today, and so I wanted to start off with that to be able to lead into our conversation. And so the deck that I have that I randomly grabbed was the messages from your spirit animals and from Stephen Farmer deck. And so, so for those of you who are down under, this is one of your animals. And so it's the panda. And so the panda comes forward to tell us, create a sacred space for yourself in your home and or your place of work. And so what I wanted to do was just kind of like popcorn style, whoever wants to be able to start off first, is that with looking at the image as well as what the message says, how does that speak to you with the energy of the ancient wisdoms that is coming forward in for you? So like it may sound different for everyone, and so I just wanted to give everybody the opportunity to just share what comes up for you when you hear or see that card. Sarah?
Could you repeat it? Well, could you repeat it again?
Yeah.
Went a little
So
too
create
fast.
a sacred create a sacred space for yourself in your home and or place of work. Denise, was that a hand?
Yeah, there was a hand. For me, that like the sacred space of yourself is the most important part of yourself. But when I look at a panda, I look at playfulness. So it's about, because when I do cards, I don't generally read the script underneath. I generally take the feel of what the picture is telling me. And pandas are extremely playful. They get into ruckus. They're destructive. But not in a bad way, but they move and shape to what they want to do. So they really know what they want and they're very playful at it. And to me, that's really owning themselves. That's them being themselves. That's them knowing the path that they're on, no matter what. And when you see them on TikTok or Facebook or wherever you see them, they will push things out of the way to go and do and be what they want. Not in a bad way, but because I'm focused. So, the focus with playfulness allows us to be wider instead of creating, flexibility. We create flexibility for ourselves. So, and really seeing ourselves on a space that I can be me. I don't have to be everybody else. I can be me. And I think that's the best thing that I see in that is that I get to own me, all that parts of me, the destructiveness, the playfulness, the flexibility, the inflexible, but I know who I am and I can shift and shape through that. Yeah, that's what
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Denise. Trisha?
Yeah, thank you, Denise. I think for me, I love that because I think so many people don't realize the sacred space that they can find in themselves, don't even realize it's there. So I love that very much. For me, what immediately came up was like bamboo and plants. And I love my home and I built my home, like obviously not with my bare hands or anything, but by myself. And I absolutely love my home. And it became a home very quickly, not just a house to live in. And so when I think of the sacred space, it's like, because this is my office and it's in my house. And so it's one and the same as my work and my home, but I don't come in here unless I'm working or just grabbing something, a book or something like that. And I thought about like the plants that I have in my house and all of the amazing things I have in my office. Like behind me, I have or in front of me, actually, I have like orchids and a money tree over in the window, and just trying to really make my space things that I absolutely love. And with nature, bringing nature inside, even with my moss art here. And so I think that that's what makes me feel like it is my sacred space to be in and just so much peace. So I have to actually talk myself out of leaving here most of the time.
Beautiful. Thank you. Sarah?
So when I think of a panda, I think of a very unique animal. There's nothing like a panda. It's very authentic. It's its own essence. And we know its characteristics, and it's playful, and it's loving, and it kind of embodies this environment that's unique to itself. So I think of a sacred space like that when we go within and we are able to connect with our inner self and our higher power. it's a space to explore our authenticity and give us permission to really understand who it is we are from our heart and from above. So I think the panda being authentic, being recognizable, being loved for who it is and what it looks like and what it embodies is a support and an encouragement for those to seek their own authentic truth.
Beautiful. Thanks. And Nick?
I loved what you shared, Sarah. Beautiful. I'm in love with pandas. I love them. I think what they represent to me is that they're cuddly. They're just the cutest. You just want to cuddle them, and they're nourishing and they're loving, and so it's your inner space within yourself and your environment where you work, where you create, where you deliver your art, your craft, your message has to be like that, has to be nourishing, has to be cuddly, has to feel so loving and so you. I love the piece of authenticity. They're very unique animal. Like there's not many. Actually, I think there's less and less of them in the world, sadly enough. But what you recognize it. The panda is like you can't, you can mistaken with a brown bear or a white bear or whatever. They're just really unique yeah, they have this. To me, they have this kind of their playfulness is like a creative, very creative. They dare. And all that nature they live in, yeah, bamboo. We've got that here in Australia. So many bamboos, they grow everywhere. And so, yeah, that's a nourishing, loving space, authentic space within ourselves, and be reflected in our environment where we create, where we do our soul's work. So important to feel at home there. Yeah. I just moved
Beautiful.
actually. I just moved in a massive mansion. I'm so excited. I've been sharing a bit of my view. Oh, it's so amazing. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's been my dream for years to live in such a beautiful house with an ocean view and, lots of bush around. Being in a big city and having that is just such a gift. It's amazing. I'm so excited. Yeah. Of what I'm gonna create with my inner panda. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks, Nick. Joanne?
Yeah, I 100% resonate with what everyone said. It's similar to what I would have said as well. But I was just thinking around the piece of, I'm a Cancer, so home is everything for me, but I travel a lot. So how do I bring that with me when I'm out and about and in different places? And I think that's the piece around coming back home to yourself and feeling you're at home no matter wherever you are. And being authentic, yeah, it's just like playful as well. That was the first thing that came, what Denise said. It was just a playful energy, right? And what's life without a bit of fun? Yeah, so we have to have the balance of it all. And but yeah, coming home definitely represents that. So thank you.
Beautiful. And Laura?
Yeah, something that I was thinking about is because I believe with the 29th, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Jupiter's been in Cancer, but I believe it moves into Leo. And a big thing that I had the revelation with, and Joanne, you were just talking about being in Cancer, is that like the past year, I have been learning to find the home within myself and finding that stability there. And with it on the full moon moving into Leo, what I found is that I had to, like, I'm stepping out on like a really new journey with identity and career. And I had to find the home within myself first. And even in looking at that card of the panda, the way the panda was like on all fours, it kind of reminded me of this sense of stability. And so it was like, oh yeah, sometimes, yeah, that, and maybe it's not on all fours, but from what it looked like for me, it
No,
was
it
like,
is.
okay, it is on all fours, yeah. And so it's like, I was thinking about that of like, oh yeah, there's this aspect of the panda, um, finding stability within itself before it kind of goes out on that journey. And, like a lot of you touched on, there's that aspect of playfulness. Stability, like part of stability comes with allowing room to be playful. So anyway, it was very cool feeling that, but also hearing what everybody else shared as well.
Beautiful. Thank you. And so for me, it was like that whole coming back into myself. So like I said, I'm back in the house. So getting the boxes unpacked and just kind of getting a feel for my own space. And so Trisha was talking about like she has her things around her, and like that's what I'm working on rebuilding, is getting everything back into where it needs to be, and or where I want it to be, because this is different desk, different energy, and from when I was in here before. And so just being able to just coming in back into where I need to be for myself, and being able to do that so that I can continue to be strong. And so this is also a perfect season for me because I am outdoors. And so things around us are like, there's lots of things going on. We're dealing with new electrical stuff. We're moving into solar. So we're just kind of like testing all the limits and all the things that we need to, and the renovations but just being able to just be in. So that's what we did yesterday. I was just outside. I was outside until I think it was like 9:30, just kind of putting around the yard, getting things moved around and getting things positioned, and so that I can actually have that sacred space outside as well as inside, and being able to come in and just being in this space, and having that connection as I shift in terms of work as to how that's going to happen, because we have a little person who has been with us since November, there's like no return at this point. So we're not sure what's happening. So like we've got all these different shifts. My grandbabies have left. And so we've got this other baby that's here. And so like just kind of like rejigging all the things so that I can still make sure that I am still being who I need to be, and having that connection. And so even on days where last night baby didn't sleep, so that meant I didn't sleep. So like just all those different things of where we're coming together. So being a grandmother and moving through those early stages of lack of sleep and things like that. When I was younger, it was like easy. I just rebounded and I continued, and I went to work and did all the things. Now it's kind of like, oh, my body is aching from being so tired. But it's just being able to have that, figuring out where it is that I'm, and being able to have access to my tools. And so like I had tools within me, and I can tap into those things. And that's where we were talking about those ancient wisdom, where we talk about that ancient wisdom. But being able to have something that I can just pull out the card and say, and I'm like Denise, like I look at the picture and what does the picture say to me, and all that connection. And so when I look at the picture, it's like all that green, right? So for me, it's about that green and being grounded and connected. And when Laura talked about like the all four, like being on all fours, it's like that full on hitting into Mother Earth, and just really being able to be in that space. And so anybody who looks at my fingernails at this time, from this time of the year, or my feet, it's like dark. It's like dark under the nails, dark feet, and like it doesn't matter how much that I soak them, like they're just like, that's what it looks like until the end of until fall hits. And so, and I love it because it allows me to be able to like really connect into being who I am, and being able to, and watching my trees grow that I've been growing for the last 2 years with my grandson, and just being able to have that opportunity to just re-engage and being back into that space of owning who I am, and really re-tapping back into being able to re-tap back into who it is that I am. Denise?
Yeah, I'd love to speak to that, because that really brings that presence, that self-presence in everything we do. The presence of being on the land, connecting with the earth, connecting with yourself, and when you say about the panda, that's what the panda does. The panda is extremely present. And what he's doing, whether he's playful or whether he's climbing the tree, that presence is so important, being there in every single moment. So yeah, and that's what you're just speaking into. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. And so, and I really love, I love the energy that this particular, as we're coming into this ancient wisdom conversation, is that we have all these energies that are shifting, that are changing. We've got the full moon. We've just had the seasons change for whether moving into winter or moving into summer. So like we've had those winter or those seasons changed. And over the last few weeks for people, like not even a few weeks, I guess technically a week. And so just being able to like just being in that new energy and that new space and that new um connection of what it is that's happening. And so when you think about these shifts and these changes um, and the changes that come with the seasons change, with the planetary changes, with the moon changes. So where does that fit for you in terms of being able to maintain that authenticity of who you are? Janice?
Yeah, here I am again. Yeah, I love that question because it's like I always know, like I'm not 100% of following the moon and when it changes, but I know when it's just about to go into full moon because it's like my whole being goes into, okay, you need to, let's restructure or let's look at this. And it makes me fully aware of where I'm at and what I'm doing and how I'm doing and what I need to shift and how I need to shift it. It's like that awareness of, well, it is that awareness of the energies around you. If you're really present within yourself and you're aware of, life around you, it's like the universe goes, oh, okay, you're open to feel. You're open to receive the vibrations. You're open to take on more and clear more and whatever that means for you. So it's like, yeah, that's what it does for me. It's like that whole shift because we like the rest of the earth goes through the seasons. The trees go through change, the plants die off and regrow. We also do that as well. And it's like if I'm paying attention and aware, the universe will just take me along that ride and allow me to shift and change. Or else if I'm not doing that, I'm really struggling. I'm struggling and not knowing what's going on because I'm not connecting to everything around me as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks. Who else wants to add to that or answer that question?
I'll go.
Trisha?
Yeah. So for me, just thinking about authenticity, it's interesting because I've grown up like, just on from like a religious spectrum, right? To now knowing that there's so much more out there than just religion, right? Like God is actually in me. God is creating through me. And I think even just being more open-minded to not even using the word God, using the word source, universe, whatever it may be. And so it's really interesting stepping into my world of like technology and being an entrepreneur, a women business owner that's like in their masculine, right? And trying to really figure out a way to come into my feminine more and not feel like I have to be the sole provider in my house. And not that I don't, I pretty much do, but it's like it's still coming into the feminine energy and figuring out a way to, because I'm an author as well. I know a couple other people did. I just launched my second book yesterday. And so it's a story of like a romance novel that kind of goes into this spiritual awakening because that's how I attracted my soulmate, right? So one of them, I believe that we have many men, women, all the things, all the people we have soul contracts with before we came come here. And so stepping into this more like woo-woo world is definitely like it's a beautiful thing, but it's really interesting because I have a lot of friends that are very religious and just go to church every Sunday. And I go to church, but it's more of a spiritual unity church that's more like New Thought Christian Science. And I absolutely love it. But this message is a little scary for some people, to step out of the thinking that God is a bearded man in the sky. And so and that judging God and not loving like I believe he is. And so that for me is like my authenticity is showing up in the not being afraid to say who I am, even though they can still have their beliefs.
Beautiful. And Joanne, you were going to say something, Joe?
Yeah, no, I love that. Thank you, Trish. For me, I think it's been evolving to an automatic place of just deep listening. And that's pretty much how I wake up every day now. But it's been a journey. Don't get me wrong, it's been hard to stop as a doing person, and a business owner, and bringing up 4 children on my own, and all the things I had to be in the masculine for when you're talking about that, Trish, but relearning how to just come back to the panda and listen, deep listening. What do I need now? What do I want? How often do we ask ourselves what we want? Not very often, right? Okay, what's next? Well, and being guided by our inner wisdom rather than the outer voice, the chitta mind. So yeah, I think deep listening is what is the message I'd like to share. It's just coming back home to you and asking, what do I need? What do I want? And that can be 10 times a day until we get guided by the messages that come through for us to continue on this journey in our human suit, being our spiritual being. So yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Sarah?
I love that, Joanne, and you inspired my answer as well. I was trying to think, like, how do I answer this question? And what does it mean to be authentic and how it relates to the seasons and the changes and everything around us? And I was like, I don't think I have an answer for that. But I think, Joanne, you are helping to help me craft it. I think the broad answer for me is it allows us to appreciate nature. Just broadly, generally, we see that nature is cyclical. There's a lot of beauty and magic in nature, and nature herself is authentic. So I think that allows for us to feel and sense and know from within, as opposed to, let's say, the technical world or the transhuman world or the, robot world, the world of concrete and corporate, and cubicles and fluorescent lights and high heel shoes and materialistic things. Those to me feel very unauthentic. It's almost as if we're playing a part, playing a role, and looking for approval externally and not from within. So empowerment, authenticity do come from within. And I think observing nature and her authentic beauty allows for us to also play. Just as Joanne inspired that answer, nature can inspire authenticity for yourself.
Beautiful. Thank you. Anik?
Yeah, I love hearing all of your share. It's really beautiful, and I just had a little bit of an epiphany as I was listening. I'm right into the, like I feel like I'm in a rite of passage. Yeah, I just moved, and I was sharing, and I'm surrounded by nature. I'm a fan of nature. When I was a kid, that was really my medicine. My mom was a primary school teacher, and my dad was a bus driver. So my mom had the summers. I grew up in Canada, in Quebec, and so she had all the summers on holiday. So they rented a little shack right by a lake, and I was talking to cows. I was always in the lake. I had a hippie pottery teacher. I was doing potteries, and he was picking me up. I was like 7, 8, putting me on his shoulders and and taking me to the pottery room. And I was doing pottery. I had long hair. The guy. Anyways, as kids, we actually know who we are. We are authentic, and we are connected to nature. I was certainly, like, I grew up in a city, but I spent all my summers, like 2 months of the year, with nature. I was a little Dr. Doolittle, and now, like, what's happening with this move, like, it's a dream. It's got everything I wanted: the ocean, the bush. I went for a walk last night. It was the full moon, and you know, I was walking, I was singing, I was videoing myself singing to the moon. And I'm like, wow, you know, like I felt so connected and I felt so me. And, you know, the spaciousness and the light here, it's like everything I love. And the message here is like, it's really important to give ourselves permission. I think Joe was talking about, yeah, like listening, but to really give ourselves permission to dive into our heart, to listen to our heart, and to be super true about what we desire, you know, about what we truly, truly desire, and to never give up. It took me many years before I got to this place of like, wow, this is exactly what I want. Like I was celebrating last night. I was like, wow, you know, so much joy in my heart. I'm heard by God, my inner God, you know, I'm heard by the universe. I can have it. And that goes for clients, that goes for money, that goes for business, that goes for relationships, that goes for health. Like, you know, it's amazing. So this time to connect with nature. We are nature. We are nature. We are part of nature. Our human body is nature, is organic. It's a miracle the way it functions. Like, you know, we don't have to press the button to say my heart has to beat, my I need to be, you know, breathing. It all, you know, my blood's flowing. Everything is working. It's a miracle. It is nature.
Yeah, beautiful.
I,
And so I just
I'm
want
on now. I'm on.
and I just wanted to add what so Sarah said, and your rainbow. So you were talking about like the things that were lighting you up and how you were describing yourself, and Sarah had said and your rainbow. So people who are watching the replay aren't going to be able to see that message, and I wanted to share that. And then Joe says, I talk to cows on my daily walks. They totally get us. And so it's just really, really it's just really interesting how we can reconnect with nature by connecting to all the things that the universe has provided us. So whether it's your God, your creator, whatever it is that you believe, there is something that has actually helped to bring all of these things together. And so and then we're going to move into allowing Laura share as well. But I just wanted to come back to what it is that you were saying, Anik, about like this is your dream come true. And I know that you were on a call with us when you had to move, when you found out that you had to move, and it was like, oh my gosh, Joe's nodding her head because Joe was on that call, I think, too. And it was like, oh my gosh, like now I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to do. And here you are with an ocean view, all the things that you could possibly imagine. And but when you look back at, and this is that authenticity and trusting in that ancient wisdom, and trusting that when we trust in ourselves and we believe in ourselves, that we can attract the things that we want and that we can do these things. And so here it is, like, right? So like it's beautiful, like here full on manifested for you, and you get to share that with us again.
Beautiful.
So beautiful.
You've
Thank
got a
you.
good memory.
Also, I love your outfit, Anik. I love the like your whole look right now. You can just like tell that you are like in your jam. You're like, I'm in my space. I love it.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's so good to be seen for who I am. Thank you
I
so
feel
much.
that.
I take that in. My intention, I have to say, my intention before I came on the call, I'm practicing that intention a lot at the moment, is I want to be received for who I am.
Mm.
Nailed.
Beautiful.
Chord.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So Laura, what about you? How does that fit for you?
There's two things that were resonating with what Denise said, and even with what Trisha was talking about, where I think for a long time I didn't really pay attention to the cycles except for that I could feel them. And like I could feel stuff happening within me, especially with the new moon and the full moon. And I almost see it as like an awakening. And to kind of piggyback off of what Trisha was talking about with authenticity, especially in kind of stepping into these beliefs growing up in like a very religious space, there is, I kind of feel like the different moon cycles over my lifetime has been like this slow pull at the true nature of who I am. And like it's been a slow call that I've been like heeding over time that has allowed me to kind of step into my true authenticity. And I won't pretend to like fully follow the cycles. Like there's a lot more that I could be doing with both the waning and the waxing moons, but I've started even just in baby steps of like I'm going to take time and sit with the full moon. I'm going to take time and sit with the new moon. And I'm going to explore the different things that are coming up with that. And I think that in allowing that to happen, it slowly sort of allowed the, true essence of who I am to reach the surface. And then I've had to put that into practice, especially because where I am currently, I'm in a small town in Florida where a lot of people are still closed off to, you talk about the moon, you talk about tarot, you talk about all these things, and there's still this resistance to it. And so there's a practice of, you know, being seen in my who I truly am and being seen as someone who I do acknowledge the moon. And I'll go outside if I see the full of the moon. I'm always like, hi, I was like, hi, my friend, how are you? And like getting to a place where you're like, I've, learned to be comfortable with that. But I think it's a really beautiful thing that like the cycles have been this like call within myself to step into who I truly am. And then it's been a practice of not being afraid to hold that, whether it's a new moon or full moon or waning or wax, like at all times holding that authenticity, regardless of who's around.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Laura. And as you guys are all sharing and having those connections, so one of the things that has shifted for me, or that is shifting for me, is how I'm moving ahead with business and what is it that it's going to look like having a 13-month-old and trying to figure out how that's going to navigate with me for long term, if that's where things need to shift and where things need to go. And so I've been working on, and so I started my book 3 years ago. I've written a couple of other books, but this one here I started 3 years ago, and I was like, okay, I've got to push. I want to get this done. I want to get this out by summer so that I can actually move ahead. Because I've got a whole course that's like designed around this book, and it's called The Wisdom Cycles. And so when Laura was talking about like the cycles and moving and shifting with all those things and like just being able to kind of sit in with it. And so one of the chapters that because like I said, like, it's 3 years in the making. So it's like I'm proofreading, and it's like, okay, what was I trying to say there? And so then I had to go back and look at what was going on in terms of shifting and connection. And I sat there and bawled, because like when I actually dove in a little deeper into like the shifts and the planetary changes and the different things that have cycled in my life of like over I think it was like a 7 or 9, it was either 7 or 9 years span. It was like, oh my gosh, there's my revelation of like this is why I went through all these things, is because I needed to be able to come back into this space, and the energies that were there allowed me to be able to be present and do the things that I needed to be doing. And as much as it felt like it was chaotic, when I look at the cycles and the changes and the shifts that were actually happening. And so it was like, oh, wow. Like I knew like some of it, like I knew, like I already had some of the revelations or whatever, but it was like piecing it all together for this chapter as I was rereading it. Cause basically I'm like reading the book going, okay, well, what was I trying to say? And that kind of thing. And so, but it's like, it really is about being able to recognize and being in that space and in that energy of what's shifting and what's changing, and recognizing that we've got, I can't remember who it was that said at the beginning. I think it might have been Denise that had said at the beginning of like, we've got all these things that are within us. And if it wasn't Joanne, please like, let me know that it was you. But it was like, but that we have all these things within us. Like, so we have that ancient wisdom that we've carried forward that we don't necessarily recognize, or that we because it's not something that we grew up with, or that we, because a few of us have actually had this conversation about the religion and how that had played a huge role in our lives, and we've shifted and moved into that spirituality, and not to say that those pieces didn't have any relevance, and or doesn't have relevance for others. I know for me, it's shifted and it doesn't have that same relevance for me. And so it's just really important for us to be able to recognize that we shift and we change, and we get to embody what works for us. And so one of the things that I say all the time is that you take what you need and you leave the rest, because not all of it is going to apply to you. Not all of it is going to apply to you now. And so sometimes when you're revisiting it again, like that one chapter, it's like, oh, yeah, look at that, right? Like, so it just kind of falls into place and helps you understand a little bit more about, like, oh, this is so it had, that chapter has an even deeper meaning than it did when I originally wrote it. And so so just really important for us to be able to recognize, so like not dwelling in our past, but being able to recognize those patterns, those shifts, those changes of things that are actually going on. And when, like, right now, life is chaotic and there's lots of things that are going on and lots of shifting that's happening, and my husband and I are beating our head up against the wall saying, oh, what are we doing? And so just being able to like recognize that there is another side. And so when within that chapter, when we were talking, or when I was like writing that chapter and I was actually revisiting it, it was like that was when my cycle began with my husband. And so so it was like, but again, didn't piece those things together until like we're in all this chaos right now. And so I have to give that chapter to my husband to read and say, like, here, have a look at this. Have a look at like how all of this unfolded. And I don't know where the chaos is taking us or where it's leading us or what's happening, but when we get to look back on it in however many cycles later, we're going to be able to reflect back and say, oh, that's how that fit. We need to live in the moment. We need to be in the space. We need to be in the here and now. And that part is really, really, really important. And I've heard it over and over again from all of you in this conversation. And so, Joe, you wanted to add something?
Oh, yeah, just what you're speaking to there, it resonated deeply is I think we need to remind our audience and ourselves at times of the importance of, the experiences that we experience in our past are there, for a purpose and to create who we are today. And when we learn from those experiences, of course, we don't want to keep repeating the same patterns, but when we're aware and we, own that, and it's shaped us to where we are now. And I think that that's a really cool thing to remember. It's not who we are, it's in the becoming of who we are. And the reflection of that is so important and powerful. And yeah, and have gratitude for it, because I surely wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't experienced all that pain and trauma and heartache. So yeah, there's a piece of gratitude in that too. But it does take a bit of work and a lot of trust.
And just really staying true to who we are. Like that is huge. And again, that's a message that we've heard. And so so I had a jumper when we were actually when I pulled the original card. And so I wanted to be able to, and I saved it specifically for the end. I didn't realize how it was going to fit to the end until like as it's coming together. And so like this fit beautifully with Joe. And so it's the blue heron. And the card says, make a stand for what you believe in and do what feels right in spite of any judgment or disapproval from others. And so when you see the card and or hear the message, how does it resonate for you? How does that kind of like tie in to this conversation as we come to as we're coming close to a close to this conversation? Denise?
Yeah, for me, that took me back to a story I watched on on TV, I've forgotten his name, Australian animal. Yeah, I can't think of his name right now.
Steve
But
Irwin?
Steve Irwin.
I'm not sure if it was Stephen Irwin or the older gentleman. who's very old now. Anyway, it was about a heron who, because they take flight after their season of staying in one spot, but his partner had hurt itself, and so he chose to stay with his partner, and they made it through a number of seasons. And when it came again that they all flew out to their new spot, as they do, to follow the weather, he chose again to stay. But the heron, that its partner who had been hurt actually passed, but he still stayed that whole season in that spot until the group came back. And then after the season there, he took off again. But what that brings me to is the choice. I get to choose. I get to choose everything that I do. I get to choose to be part of everything or nothing. But the choice is my responsibility. But it can be clouded with what we've grown up with and how we've grown up with, and the expectation, like we were saying, religion. I never grew up with a religion, but then in my later life, I went to religion and then I stepped out of it again, because whether it was the pull or I wanted something different, but I chose. And then I received what I needed from that, and then I stepped out of it again. And it becomes a choice that we learn from. And like Joe said, every experience is something that we get to choose, and we get to learn, and we decide to put it aside and go into something different. Like Laura, you're on a brand new path, because that's what you've chosen to do, because that experience, that story, that part of you is now decided, no, I want more. I need to know myself deeper. And I suppose for me, that's that story of the heron staying, because he chose to be there for its partner. And then when that chapter had finished, he chose a different path. And I just think, we don't shift in and out of that easily, because we're bombarded with expectations and, what other people think, instead of coming back to our authenticity and deciding what I want, no matter the outcome of what others feel. And I suppose it's not a battle, that's the learning I have to go through, and everybody else has to go through, is learning to be okay. Being okay with whatever that outcome is. Yeah, that's what I got from that card. Thank you.
Thanks, Denise. Who wants to go next?
I'm happy, but I would love to give someone else an opportunity.
We'll all have an opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think it's, oh my goodness, it was just so clear a moment ago. It's making a stance. Okay, so yes, so just the piece around those parts of ourselves that are not ours is what was coming through. They're not ours. And we've chosen, what Denise is saying, is we chose to take that on. So it's very brave to step out of and be different. And I know for some of us, it's been in the past, even the past that we don't even know was our past, we'd been crucified for it. So there's still those memories that we're carrying, whether in the faith or in society or in family, constitutions that there's these pieces, and if you believe in, past lives and things like that, there's some part that could be possibly, if you just play with the idea that they could be parts we've been carrying that are not really ours, that we can choose to let go of and dismantle, even if we don't know what it is. But play with the possibility, get curious. Well, this doesn't feel like mine. Where did it come from? And from that space, let it go. And then the judgment and disapproval will go with it. And there's something about, landing in your 60s where you just truly don't give a damn anymore, right? But yeah, so it's yeah, dismantling. Okay, thank you.
Beautiful. And Nick?
My little hand up there with the so much fun emoji. Yes, I think the biggest fear that all humans, we all have is in our egoic structure is to disappoint ourselves, to be disappointed. And so, like, people will always judge. We're always going to judge one another. That's not going to change. Humans are humans. And so the choice here is to go all in with our visions, with our true visions, our true heart desires, and to become a bit tougher around, you know what I mean? Like, because I'm assuming, but I'm certainly an empath, I'm very empathic, and I'm super duper sensitive. So I feel it all. But the more I dare to accept myself, to accept all my parts, to soften and be more and more compassionate. And it's been a journey, because I had my inner critic was super loud. The way I've been raised, like it was, like the perfectionist, like all these aspects of the ego, all these archetypes. And so when the more the heart is open and the more we actually say yes to our vision, to our purpose, to our mission, to what is true for us, to what resonates, to what feels in alignment, and we move through that. We go, like, we just put our glasses, and this is where I'm looking, this is my vision, I'm going that direction, and take it or leave it. I don't want to play with everybody. This is a big playground. I want to play with the people who want to be in my inner circle, and I want them to be in my inner circle. Then we talk the same language, we play the same game, we're in the same vibe. Cool, let's play. But if you're not aligning with what I'm talking about, if you're not aligning with my message, with my energy, the way I dress, the way I think, my accent, whatever, if it doesn't work for you, see you later. Bye-bye, ciao. You know what I mean? And this is a practice, it sounds very simple, but it is something to embody and to do again and again and again and again until it becomes a masterpiece, like you become a master at choosing your soul, choosing your heart. Yeah.
Yeah. Sarah?
So I know we're at time, but quickly, make a stand for what we believe in and do what feels right in spite of judgment or disapproval of others. I think of the Rumi quote, and I looked it up here. As you start to walk on the way appears. So what Anika's saying, you follow your passion, you follow your joy without fear of disapproval or judgment. And you got to trust the unfolding as the way appears as you take the courageous next step. And I think that's a really fitting message for us all.
Beautiful. Thanks, Sarah. Trisha?
Yeah, I think what comes up for me, and I love what you guys said about being trained by society and just letting go of all those beliefs and the parts of ourselves that aren't truly ours. And I think, you think about this word becoming, right? And it sounds like it's the future. And I think there's so much of our lives that we're just remembering, right? It's here and now. And we have all of this beautiful knowledge and wisdom inside of us that is really teaches us. We hear these messages, right? I always call it my internal God system, or my IGS. And it's like we have these beautiful messages of what gifts we are here to bring forth to the world. And mine so happens to be like inner child healing. But it also has to do with technology. And so it's like, and that's what I'm feeling. That's my path. I have my blinders on, right? And I'm going towards that. And so I think just remembering that we are all so special and we all bring such beautiful gifts and taking a stand for that, right? And believing in that and just keep pushing forward to bring those beautiful gifts to the world.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Trish. Laura?
I'm looking at it in a little bit of a literal sense to some degree because the hometown where I grew up in, there's a local cafe that recently got a lot of flack for supporting Pride. And I happened to like visit the cafe and it came up that I read tarot and the owner of the cafe was like, "Would you come read here?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And I was like I was like processing a lot of the emotions that come up with like going back to this hometown with a lot of like very, religious and conservative people that will push back against it. And I drew a tarot card, and the card that I drew was Judgment. And there were multiple things that came up with it. And one, there's the aspect of like you kind of just have to embrace there's going to be judgment no matter where you are. But what I love about the Judgment card is that it also represents rebirth. And to me, I was thinking about that, like what we have talked about in this whole exchange is like going back even to the panda. I have been spending this time finding that home within myself so that I am not rattled by the judgment. I am not rattled by everything outside of me. And so I'm literally getting this opportunity at rebirth to go into my hometown and go to a space where a lot of the people of the town are going to have hate, but for the people who can show up, I'm going to do tarot readings for folks there. And so there's this aspect of rebirth that is happening. And it is being able to say, like, I know I'm going to get judged, but to what we are all talking about, like, it is important for me to show up in my authenticity and to know, because there's also with the Judgment card, there's a lot of healing. And I know you pulled the heron, but it brought me to the Judgment card. But there's a lot of healing. And to me, there's also a lot of healing in tarot. It gets so much demonization, but there's so much healing that happens with it. And so, anyway, I think that's what it kind of brought me back to is that, like, if we can let go of our fears with the Judgment, we can be in our authenticity and our true nature. And there's so much beauty in life and healing that happens when we step into that.
Beautiful. I really love what all of you had to say, and that was a beautiful way to be able to close. And so I just wanted to pull up the card again, just to be able to, for those of you who can see it, is that the when you actually look at the heron in the way that it's positioned, is it's poking at that frame that's around it. So like you are stuck in the box, right? So it's poking its way out, and that's what I got from the card, is that it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. It doesn't matter how any of that how any of that's going to play out for anybody else. And so so I know that for like just for me in this present, in this moment, is that there's lots of conversations about like, well, why are you doing that? Why is this happening? What's happening? What's going on? And so just really, really important for us to be able to like, and my response is, I don't care. I don't care what anybody else thinks about this because it is still true to me. And so I know that someone is taking advantage of me in this particular situation, but I choose, as Denise said, is I choose to still do what it is that I feel is best for the other humans that are involved. And so I'm going to do what it is that I feel that I need to do. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how things are folding out or unfolding. I know that I'm holding true to who I am. And I'm going to, like, I haven't officially worked since November because I chose to do something different. And now I'm choosing to move ahead and figure out how this is all going to play out. And so, but it's that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anyone else has to say. And so kudos to you, Laura, in your venture of returning home to your I'm from a small town, so I get it. And so like just being able to like just fit into whatever it is that you need to fit in. And those who love are the ones that you embrace. Those who hate, they're not going to come around anyway. So who cares? Right. So
I
just being able
agree.
to, right. So holding space for you, Laura, and all of you on this journey and on this path. And with this, on this note, we're going to turn it over to Sophia and allow Sophia to bring us to a close.
Thank you ever so much, Rollie. This has been a wonderful conversation. And again, I've had the pleasure of sitting in the background listening to it. I love the hair and your stories, especially from everyone. From everyone. Thank you. Before we wrap up very quickly, Rollie, of course, you are a sacred guide with Sacred You. You host the Moon Medicine Circle and the Heart Medicine Ritual. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that very, very briefly?
So Joe was talking about gratitude and really embracing gratitude. And so our heart medicine is exactly that. So so rather than referring to it as gratitude, I refer to it as heart medicine, because it really does warm that heart, heal that heart, and being able to help bringing us forward. And so that is once a month, I think the third Friday/Saturday of the month.
Yes.
Depending on where you are in the world. And then Moon Medicine Circle is about talking about all the different things. So being able to use the tarot cards or the crystals or the herb medicines or earthing or all those things that bring us forward, our voice. And it is amazing with our voice. And so just being able to use that sound healing and all those different things of being able to bring all these things together and really tapping into who we are and healing, as Denise and Joe bring us into those that energy, and Sarah with her adventures of just being able to just be bold and tenacious of being able to bring things forward. And so Laura and Trisha, thank you so much for being part of this conversation and this discussion as I rebirth into wherever it is that's going to take me. And I am so ever so grateful that you guys were able to join me on this conversation. And so big witch, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Rollie. And again, for anyone out there who is listening, do click on the links below, reach out to these amazing women. And also come and join us for Rollie's Heart Medicine Rituals or the Moon Medicine Circles, free for anyone who is a community member or a sacred guide. It's part of the membership. All the details will be below. Thank you, Anik and Denise and Sarah and Joe and Laura and Trisha. Especially thank you to Laura and Trisha coming in the first time. Do hope that you'll be back. We have many more wisdom circles. Rollie will be back same time next month for the next segment of Moon Medicine Circles and Ancient Wisdom Rituals. Moon Medicine Healing, whatever it is. I should be looking. Moon Medicine
ties together.
Forgotten Hearts. Thank you. Have a beautiful day or evening wherever you are, and we will see you next time. Thank you.